Welcome everyone to episode 24 of the Backlash podcast. I'm Scott with Eric. We are here, and what a few weeks it's been in Raw Deal World.
Oh, what a crazy weekend GenCon was.
Yeah. We had the big World Championship tournament, and Team Canada Online spoiled all the superstars that are coming out in the next set, which is Virtual 9.
Yes.
Yeah. So that got the community a-buzzing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. My phone, which is my prompt, just went blank because I forgot to keep it awake. So what do you got for Around the Web this week?
All right, let's open it up with GenCon. Last weekend, first weekend of August, it was a 10-man World Championship event, having a new champion for the first time, Scott Hulett. We actually have him as our guest later on in the show for a pre-taped interview. So look forward to that when we get through everything that has gone down. Now you brought up the Superstar cards, Scott. You want to talk about your standout character from that? So it was all X number of superstars were revealed. We won't go over every one of them.
They're online, everywhere. Team Canada Online, all the Facebook groups were posting them as they came up. Shinsuke basically broke Discord on Team Canada Online. A lot of people were like, well, what happens if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? So the playtesting group, I guess, just took him off the table for right now and said, hold your questions. We'll look at a way so that it works the way we intended it to work and it's not broken with all these different combos everyone's coming up with. So that was pretty exciting. The person I think I'm most looking forward to, just because I think he fits my playstyle, is actually Mojo Rawley, even though he's my least favorite wrestler and I can never remember his name. But just the ability to promo when any player successfully plays a card, you're just digging through your deck, going super aggro. So I'm excited about that. And
then promo because it's a promo heavy set.
Yeah.
For people who aren't familiar with it, is promos followed by a number. So when you would promo, you look at the top number cards of your deck. So in Mojo's case, you would look at the top two, put one into your hand and the other one in your ringside pile. It's a new mechanic that was added in one of the mid virtual sets. I think 5.
Yeah. And then I really like the Ascension. They've been kind of a favorite of mine, even though they're big-time jobbers in WWE programming. But their ability is unique in that every time they overturn more than 2 or more cards, they can put one maneuver that they overturn into their hand. So they have the NXT support where you can overturn 2 or 4 to draw a card. Mm-hmm. That backstage area card, NXT Breakout Star, I think. What else? Oh, the 5th year and 10th year anniversaries. They can discard a maneuver, overturn half as many, and still do all the things. Cool. A few neat interactions, and they already have a spoiled card that they got last set, the Cosmic Wasteland, which is really good. I don't remember the exact wording on it, but your opponent can basically discard 2 random cards to put it out of your ring area, and to put it back in your ring area, you just overturn 2 cards. I'm gonna butcher the text. I think whenever you play a maneuver without stun, they overturn 2 or something crazy, right? So it's pretty powerful, and you can just keep picking it up and using their ability to take advantage of that as well. So even with just knowing that one card, you're yes, there's some synergy there already. So I'm excited about those 2. How about you?
I focus less on the abilities, and then I'm just looking at the art on these.
I was gonna say, it's really tricky to.
Because it was brought up in one of the Facebook conversations on the Raw Deal CCG group, where it's we're virtual now. The superstar ability is just giving you a portion of what the superstar can do, and it really shows in this set, especially with Asuka. I think it's the best looking character card in the set next to Shinsuke. I think he looks really good. Both Royal Rumble winners. So with Asuka, when your maneuver is unsuccessful, they randomly put a card from their hand on the bottom and then draw 1 card. So that's not the greatest ability on paper, so I'm excited to see what card she has around there to be okay, what is she going to make more difficult to reverse and kind of punishing, because she has a huge drawback where she can't pack heat, chain, volley, dynamic, and cards with girly precision, shoot, or technical entitle.
Yeah, that's a lot of moves that you can't pack. Yeah, I like I almost called them Team Angle. American Alpha. I think that's my favorite looking face card of the set. It's like the way the purple and the pinkish blue go all together. They look pretty fun too.
Vaudevillains look really cool. It's got that old-timey kind of grays and whites, a bit of yellows, and they could pack 2 of unique maneuvers with classic in the title, which is fun. The last superstar I think I want to highlight, Baron Corbin I'm looking forward to, because whenever your RMS maneuver is unsuccessful, you promo 2. And when he plays a reversal card with completely in the text, he removes the top 2 cards in his arsenal from the game. So I'm thinking Homecoming, because almost all the multis on that, all the multis on it are RMS. So you're going to keep searching. Precision Haymaker is always a popular one to pack. Some of the cards that we bring up later on in our kind of virtual starting guide that I don't even know what to call that virtual guide that we've been calling.
Yeah, virtual guide.
Virtual guide, where there's a lot of mid-match maneuvers
that are RMS.
With that. Other than that, I look forward to seeing what else the superstars have to offer in virtual guide.
It's really hard to pick a favorite superstar when you only have the superstar ability, as you said. I'm thinking about people like Devil's Favorite Demon, who have a very basic vanilla ability, but the card Hell you put into play the first turn of the game. And there's a few superstars like that. Macho Man has one where you just put it in play on the first turn of the game. A lot of people don't like the put into play part of, or cannot respond to, but really it's kind of an extension of their ability.
Yeah.
So if you blank their ability, they're not completely screwed, right? So I do like that about that. Another thing I wanted to bring up was the amount of promo in superstar cards. I saw a few complaints. Oh man, this guy's promo, this guy's promo, this guy's promo. What I really like about promo, for me anyways, is that means I'm putting cards into my ring set pile. So cards that are that are heat, blindside, or cards that can easily play or move around in ring set pile, so shoot headlocks and thrust knee lifts and can't cheats. I think those will get more powerful, which may draw out old school steel cage match a little more. So it's almost forcing the meta to move away from the old school wrestling match that was so prominent at FunkCon, to say, all right, 6 of these superstars have promo in the ability. They can easily put all these damaging cards in ringside and get them back in their arsenal and use that. So it may pull out old school cage match a bit. So we'll see how that changes the meta a bit. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but I'm excited to promo away.
the only time I really used it was with the New Day, and that was before their backstage area card got adjusted, where they used to draw a card for every heel they played. They changed it to each turn, so you're playing all these heel pre-match cards and doubling your hand size is promo. I don't mind it. But you got to build to accommodate it. Like you're saying.
For sure, yeah.
That was a lot of long silence.
Yeah, that's all right.
Also announced, we are hosting a North American Championship here in Barrie, Ontario, at our shop OMG Games. So this is going to be May 25th. No prizing announced yet.
2019.
2019. not May 25th is 2018. I spent a bit of time making a video, so please enjoy it. If you're watching this on the YouTube, I'm going to have it right at the end of the show. Otherwise, just look up Eric RD on YouTube or North American Championship Tournament.
Rodeo.
Some mixture of that. Big plans for prizes. The shop has announced that they're going to sponsor some cool prizing.
Nice.
We're going to do a charity barbecue there for Relay for Life, which you want to go over that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. It's just, actually it's probably well known in America, because I believe the American Cancer Society does it as well as the Canadian Cancer Society. It's an event where different areas host what's called Relay for Life. Teams of about 10 people come together and they walk. Some are 6 hours, some are for 12 hours. And you just take turns with your teammates walking for the entire event. It's not actually a running relay, but it's a lot of fun. I'm the chair of the committee this year, so I figured, hey, let's tie it into everything that we're doing. So.
And it's the weekend. Our event's the weekend before Relay.
Yes, the weekend right before Relay, so that'll help with our fundraising. Yeah, so we're excited for that.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to get a replica title. We're aiming for the North American NXT Championship.
That Adam Cole baby.
Yeah, the Adam Cole baby. And who knows what else? I'm hoping for November we'll have stuff in hand to preview. I'm going to meet with OMG Games soon, and we'll work on doing. I want to do some video announcements with it.
Yeah, it's 10 months away. We have lots of time to.
But that's the thing where a lot of people you want to know by January 1st.
This is true.
Because that's when people book vacations. I know in my workplace, people are like hawks because it goes by seniority. Who gets vacation first? It's the same day. It's like, I want Christmas off. It's like, well, no, the 20-year senior guy has it first. It's like,
And we should have a really good turnout. We have 8 local players. Can probably bring it up to 10 if we drag a few people out. Some people from FunkCon said they wanted to come up. Some people that didn't make FunkCon say they want to come up. Maybe some people from GenCon want to come up. So.
Oh, it's going to be Virtual Classic only. No Revolution, no All Access. It's one event. It's the weekend after our long weekend, Victoria Day weekend, but we call it May 2-4. Even though May 2-4 is the weekend before May 2-4 next year.
Yeah, it's so weird.
But yeah, more details to come. We're going to keep bringing it up. It is going to be a lot of fun because Barry's a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
It is.
And you want to talk about the next one, Scott? I've been talking a lot.
All right. Our annual store championships that we try to coincide with GenCon this month. It didn't quite line up until August 18th. So, what's today? August 9th. So by next podcast, we should have a new champion, store champion. That event's going to be Virtual Classic, and it's actually sponsored by Raw Deal SG. Keith has been kind enough to donate some great cards of prizing. I don't know what they are, you do, so it'll be a surprise for me. So check out our Facebook group. We should be having it all videotaped. You tape all of our events,
we're live streaming it.
We'll try and live stream it.
No, we are live streaming it.
Okay, we'll live stream it. I'm not committing to live streaming, but we'll definitely have the video content.
We're live streaming it. And be sure to check out Rodial SG on Facebook. Keith, I don't know how he finds the time to do all this.
Yeah.
But he has articles on Revolution Superstars weekly. Every Wednesday he posts alternate art cards. It's going to be a matter of time before he hosts an alternate art image for every card in Rodial. And yeah, he's pushes his group very Revolution focused, but he has been a big part of Raw Deal for plenty of years. So show him some love. Give his page a like if you haven't.
Yeah. So usually we open the show with what have you been doing for Raw Deal? Have you played any Raw Deal in the last 2 weeks?
No. I'm doing a lot of work.
I built me and Sugar Dusty Corpse. We play Revolution Fridays. So Friday afternoons, especially in the summer, we can get away early. Play a few Revolution games. This week I played Kofi Kingston against his Batista and Stone Cold Steve Austin, and poor Kofi went 0-3. But it was tricky. Again, we're kind of getting the concept of how to build Revolution decks and what works and what doesn't work. And some decks will run 0 antics and some are super heavy on the antics, and it's pretty fun. It's like new Raw Deal all over again. So.
I was about to ask, where it's like, are you getting that excitement of like, oh, this is such a great combination, or it's like, oh, I wish I packed this card. Like, you're just kind of seeing it with new eyes, the game as a whole.
Exactly. And we played a classic game before we did that, and we're like, so long. The pre-match is 20 minutes, and it's like,
my AJ
I like that Revolution is just fast-paced. We get in 3 or 4 games an hour, and it's perfect, right, to get together for 2 hours and just hash out a bunch of games, and works for us. So.
See, if Virtual Classic, if you play your pre-match smart, it can be done in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it can be, but yeah. Not all the time. It depends what you're playing, right? If you're searching for back to basics, doing other things.
Tech in a bottle.
Yeah, your jerk opponent plays New Jersey, Denville or something, yeah.
Or Dallas, Texas is another one that's the same.
That takes time to resolve. So yeah, not a lot of Raw Deal. I just played those. I didn't get on Discord at all in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've just been busy with family because it's summer and we're trying to do all the outdoor stuff. In the winter in Canada, we're a little more hermity, so I'll be on Discord much more then.
And there's always Lackey to play games, too. It's easier to build a deck on there.
Lackey, yeah. It's all the same in internet world. I read a thing online today. It was like 2002. It's like, don't talk to strangers and don't meet people on the internet. It's like 2018. Uber, where you like call a stranger on the internet to come pick you up. Oh, how times have changed. How times have changed.
Well, we did do like the last thing you should do based on those recommendations. We drove 12 hours to go meet a bunch of strangers and give them our money.
Yeah. It was a good time. Very fond memories of that trip. It was a good one.
That was my first adult road trip.
Yeah.
A 12-hour drive, and then since doing it, I'm like, I want to do more.
Right?
This is so much fun.
It didn't even feel like 12 hours either. Like, Shuker didn't even drive on the way home because it was just flying by. Mm-hmm. We're like, oh crap, I've been driving for 4.5 hours. Better pass this off, I guess.
We listened to the Edge and Christian podcast with Gangrel, then I think we spent 45 minutes afterwards talking about how to build the Brood.
Yes. Yep, definitely. You had your Lackey open, so we were like looking through the cards on your iPad, which was pretty awesome. That was the great thing, right? We were all Raw Deal, and we just talked Raw Deal for almost 24 hours in the car.
You know, WrestleMania is in New York next year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shorter drive.
Yeah. 10 times as expensive.
But if you make it expensive. Ring of Honor's in Madison Square Garden the same night as NXT. Don't go to WrestleMania, sure. Well, no, how can you not go to WrestleMania?
Yeah, you drive 12 hours to go to the city that WrestleMania is in and don't go to WrestleMania. What
we can do is we can find Mackie, our first guest on the podcast here, and throw like eggs at him or something.
Alrighty, let's move on to our Getting Into Virtual segment called Getting Into Virtual. It's hard being this original, guys, let me tell you. So what do you want to talk about? We're talking about mid-match today.
Yeah, so this is following backstage area for the first week. This week, this episode, last episode.
We did pre-match.
It's been a long week. Yeah. We did pre-match. This time we're going to focus on mid-match. We're going to discuss reversals, maneuvers, and then actions, because those are kind of in the order of what you'll see in quantity in Backlash decks, and kind of importance.
Yeah, it's true. Just looking at the list here, I think I was like, what is the one virtual card that goes in every Backlash deck? And I believe it is your reach exceeds your grasp. I don't think I've seen a virtual deck without it. Basically, should we read the text? Go over it?
We could do just...
Reverse any non-superstar specific card with printed fortitude greater than your opponent's fortitude rating. So that's the big concept, is that you're ending your opponent's turn and you're stopping a maneuver that they normally wouldn't be able to play. So hopefully next turn it goes back to their hand. So the reverse card goes back to their hand. So if they use something to reduce it, basically you've stopped that effect. If it's something that has a permanent -2 reduction or something and you use that, well, you just ended their turn and you got a turn, which I think is equally important in virtual Raw Deal.
But like, because of this card, you're not going to see precision clothesline anymore. Like it doesn't work at the beginning. Like in Classic,
it's too much of a price to pay.
It doesn't hit just a maneuver, it hits any non-specific card.
Right.
But also hits any multi-volley maneuver.
Yeah, which is, some of them are really powerful, punch after punch, maneuver of doom, things like that. So make sure you use it as a first reversal so it doesn't go back to their hand if you're reversing a volley maneuver.
And it has an activated card effect as well.
Where during your turn, you can remove this card from the game and then ignore any play restrictions from his effects for the rest of the turn. This effect cannot be reversed. So if you're getting full on pre-match slots or mid-match slots, you can just ace it out of your ring, opens up another slot. I think like the biggest effect is it stops the volley effect.
Yes.
I'm not sure what else it gets around. Maybe if Keebler's Cookies, where you can't play maneuvers during a turn, you can ace that, and then you can play maneuvers again. But I think mainly for volley, if your opponent's going for that volley lock, you can just ace it and continue to play actions when you normally wouldn't be able to play actions, and open up that mid-match slot. So, first card that goes in any deck in Virtual, your reach exceeds your grasp, right next to restricted use for me, but that's a classic card.
Another one I'll talk about is turning everything upside down. It's a action reversal hybrid. Pretty much what it is, it's the new You're as Graceful as a Cow on Ice. Mm-hmm. It has RMS, so you don't have to worry about getting plunged, your opponent affecting your reversals. Permanent and unique. As a reversal, it's 0 fortitude, so it's a printed 6. When you have lower fortitude, so it doesn't count hand like Yours Graceful does, reverse any card that's not the first or second played this turn. As an action, when you have lower fortitude, you can't respond to it, which is a popular theme in Raw Deal. It's pretty much the new cannot be reversed, and there's nothing that affects a card that cannot be responded. So these cards are generally pretty good. You put the card, so you're playing it, they can't respond to it. You reveal the top 3 cards of your arsenal. You put any cards of D3 or less into your ring face down and shuffle. So face down's a new effect that was added to the game, where anything that is not RMS active or permanent, right, can be moved face down. There's very limited effects in the game. So when this card's in your ring, once during each of your turns, you could choose one face down card in your ring that does not have "win the game" in the text, and end your turn. And flip it over. So with this as an action, if you're getting, say, judo choke or those maneuvers, you get to flip them over for free. You're gaining that fortitude, and there's no cost to it, so it's not an activated.
I've never seen it played as an action yet. I'm sure people have looked at it and tinkered around with ideas to make it work, but it's definitely, the reversal is the highlight. That it's RMS, it's 0 fortitude, and it's unique, so it can stop atomic lariats. It can stop pretty well anything that requires a unique reversal. So some people replace it with cow, some people add it in with cow. It comes down to preference, because if some people see the turning everything upside down or cow on ice, they assume you're not packing the other one. And if you are, well, then you're stopping the turn, right? So
I've had this played against me as an action, actually. I played the 2x2, which gives me an option to flip 2 cards of my opponent's ring face down. The following turn he played this, could not be responded to, and then he proceeded to flip back overs through all these years.
Oh, nice.
To prevent a game loss.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, there's a perfect scenario where if your opponent's overturning your cards, you can get them back up. Alright, and then the third reversal that we chose, this is going to be an old school brawl. It can only be played when your opponent plays a maneuver with a reversal restriction from a card that is not his first maneuver with a restriction this turn. So we're thinking like Clutch Apply is the first thing that comes to mind with me. The blank the maneuver's text and damage, he discards 2 random cards and end his turn. So you're blanking the text and damage, he still gets the fortitude, it still goes in his ring area, but you're ending the turn, you're making them discard 2, you're getting 2 fortitude. On top of that, when this card is in your ring, so it has an ongoing effect, and he plays a non-superstar specific maneuver with a reversal restriction from a card that is not his first maneuver played that turn with a reversal restriction, he overturns 2. So again, a little bit wordy, but he goes for the Clutch Apply again next turn. He'd have to overturn 2 to play the apply. So it just gets around all that can only be reverse stuff, cannot be reverse stuff, what have you, that's very popular in Classic. So it's a card that I've started packing more of. I think I've only ever played it once. But again, it's that knowing that it's there, it's like Backlash. Like some people don't want to run into it, so they'll intentionally not play the second card with a reversal restriction every turn. So it's a hit and miss, and run into it if you want to. I think I've run into it a few times, and then the secondary text of when you do it again, you have to overturn 2, that's never affected me. So it's there.
It's that ending the turn.
Yeah.
So those are the reversals we're going to cover. This time there are others. There's some females. There's a female specific one. What I always do is go to the SoCal Raw Deal Facebook page. They have albums sorted by each type. Min-match reversal. Well, all min-match are actually pooled together. All pre-match pooled. Actions, hybrids. It's a good resource, and it's easy to copy and print it.
Move on to maneuvers.
Yeah, let's go to maneuvers. I'll talk about Flawless Transition, which is just about packed in every deck if you're packing chain maneuvers. So it works like one of the panic maneuvers. So you play this 0 for 0 Flawless Transition with RMS. You immediately play a non-superstar specific printed chain maneuver that is 0 fortitude. When you play it, you choose for Flawless Transition to be grapple or submission, and he must reverse both in order for him to reverse both to end the turn.
No, they can reverse one and end the turn.
On overturn, it does. The idea of this is you're playing this.
Yeah.
Say I'm going to play a quick snap body slam and 0 for 4 chain. They have to discard 2 for the Flawless Transition chain trait, then 2 for the quick snap body slam, and then they get an attempt to reverse both.
Yeah.
They could choose to discard 2 and reverse one of them. However, you go to the damage taking part of the timing breakdown. So if they overturn a reversal for the quick snap body slam, ends the turn. Unlike the panic maneuvers where it says your opponent must reverse both.
Exactly. So it's pretty popular because you're making your opponent discard 4 cards for the chain trade if they want to stop you from getting that initial fortitude. So, great card.
This with Tech in a Bottle, the pre-match feud we talked about, it allows you to search for a chain maneuver, so that's when you search for your quick snap body slam. And turn 1, you can play both of these because there's no limitation to when you can play this. You can play it when you're both at 0 fortitude, you could play it when you're higher in fortitude. You could just open up the gate.
Yeah, which is a pretty popular play. So.
It's a must-pack.
Yeah, I think so. We have Perfectly Executed Tope, which is great with the high-flying style. When you have high-flying style in your ring, you can play this card from ringside. So that's what makes it great, is you're just playing it until it's successful. Can only be played after a successfully played maneuver. When you have high-flying style in your ring, it can be played after a successfully played card. Cannot be reversed by the coach says today's the day. Put cards removed from the game on the bottom of your arsenal up to the number of SmackDown cards in your ring. So, great card to play after something like Turn the Match Upside Down or any of the cards listed on Interview by Mean Gene that you can't respond to. You can just throw this right after it and you know you're hitting your follow-up. So, have 4 fortitude, 2 stun, which is a nice bonus, 8 damage, and it has the RMS logo as well, so you can't boost it, but you keep throwing it till it sticks. And it bridges beautifully from Flawless Transition and Quick Snap Body Slam. It bridges from the Japanese arm drags, which get a boost with high flying style and cruiserweight style action. So, yeah.
This is a very key card in one of the World Champs decks that he covers in the interview. And you can just see how potent this card can really be.
Cool.
The next one I was going to cover, Desperate Struggle. I'm not. It functions as another panic maneuver.
Yeah.
Instead, I want to talk about the new Dirty Low Blow. It's a throwback, unique 0 for 2, just like the old one, except it wasn't unique. However, when you have a lower fortitude, can only be reversed from Arsenal. They're not touching this card.
Yeah, I think there's one card that reverses it. I think the WCW.
A unique 5 fortitude Arsenal reversal that can only be packed when you have the WCW allegiance.
Yeah, and I don't know if it only hits non-uniques or not.
I believe it hits it.
Yeah.
Correct us in the comments.
Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, that's the way heel decks are getting a guaranteed 2 fortitude. Basically, can't be responded to except they can overturn on damage, but it has 1 stun as well. So.
And you can actually play it when you have equal or higher fortitude, but you don't get that protection from it. So if you're stuck with an old school wrestling match stipulation in play, you have no maneuvers in hand, you can toss one of these and hope they don't do more than 6 damage. Otherwise, it just wasn't worth doing.
Yeah, but it's there, right? It just doesn't. The protection's only when you're lower. I didn't realize that. I'm not a big heel player, so I didn't even look at the text on that.
Great card. We'll go to actions. I really like. I'll let you cover. Which one do you want to do?
I was going to say Flurry of Finishers. That's probably my favorite action, which can be packed by stables. It's really can be a game ender for the most part. It's a game ender. Cannot be packed by home team or heat seekers. During a turn when you're a stable and you haven't played or activated any cards this turn, you may put this card from your Backlash into your ring, so basically they can't respond to it. Your next card played this turn can only... when your next card played this turn is a trademark, you may play one additional trademark finisher from hand, Backlash, or ringside with it, and you may ignore the can only be played text on one of those cards. Unless both maneuvers are reversed when played, both are considered played, and then after damage is resolved, your turn ends. So with a lot of stables, they have multiple specific trademark finishers, and even if they don't, there's lots of non-specific trademark finishers, finisher, dynamic finisher, what a maneuver throwback,
old school pile driver.
There's a lot of them, right? So I really like that card. You just, when you get your 25, 30, 35 fortitude and the game's almost over, you see a manager just hit the ringside pile and you know one's in the ring area, you're just like, yep, flurry, hit these big trademarks and end it, or draw lots of stun. Or
what I like as well with this is it ignores the can only be played text on one of the trademark finishers. So anything with it can only be played after, so any of like your high risk base trademark finishers. But it also ignores the can only be played text for volley finisher and chain finisher
and
for the mid match
finisher.
And bash finisher.
Yeah, so no, bash finisher I don't think has a requirement, but what I did was I ran this in Wyatt's with the bash finisher, so it was always there, and then I think two of their trademarks have it can only be played after text. So I knew that I could always throw the bash finisher with one of these can only be played after text and ignore those, like Rowan's Big Splash. And so that's what I did with that deck. I don't think bash finisher has a requirement, but yeah, great card.
And then a good card that pairs with this, which I didn't even think of. This is a card that we hadn't played locally until we went down to FunkCon, and then every deck's playing it.
Yeah.
I almost lost to my opponent playing this card. See how it feels. So it works like the action where you're searching your opponent's deck for a trademark finisher. However, this one is, I think, way better.
Yeah.
So it's a 30 fortitude trademark finisher action hybrid. And it can only be reversed by two non-hybrid reversal cards. So they're not touching this with volley this. So you search his hand, Backlash, arsenal, ringside for one trademark finisher. You add that card's damage, stun, and text to this card until the end of turn. Then he shuffles. Your opponent shuffles that trademark into his arsenal, and this card is -5d, -1 stun until the end of turn. This is bananas because if this resolves, he immediately just gets any trademark he wants.
Yeah, how it works is you basically blanket search the entire area except remove from game. Find whatever trademark you want, and then play it against him. So you can search his arsenal first, and if you don't see what you like, find it in his ringside or his hand, or search his arsenal just to see what he has left, which is a huge knowledge factor, and then look at his hand and see what reversals he has. If you do have to follow it up and it doesn't quite pin him, it's so good.
Like this with flurry finishers works. They're both in the mid-match.
Yeah.
But what's great about this is playing against stables is you play see how it feels. It's successful, then you can just get to pick any trademark finisher you want with whatever text works for you in that situation. I had my opponent play GTS against me, and the text was, if not reversed from Arsenal, you win the game via pinfall. So I was like, oh no.
And what does it do, 15 damage? 25 damage? But it was -5 from this, so it reduced your chance of reversing from Arsenal.
Oh yeah,
that's 5 way less damage, right? I was like,
it's a great card. Didn't see a lot of play for us locally here until we encountered it. Now I'm packing it in a lot of decks now. And to go back to old school wrestling match, this is another maneuver in your mid match that you could play in case you come into a dire time.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, they're playing 2 pain reversals to an action.
Next action we have is Overrated Superstar. I'm kind of on the fence about this card. It really depends what your deck's going for, but it's a 0 fortitude, 1 damage, mid-match action. And this card's in your Backlash before the draw second of the first turn of the game, and your opponent has more than 12 cards in his hand. When his printed hand size is 10 or more than 15 cards instead, you may put this card into your ring, and he discards 3 random cards. So discarding 3 random, really good. Getting 1 fortitude, pretty good. You're just putting it into play, so you can't reverse it. But the thing that I don't like is that you're getting 1 fortitude off it. It seems counterintuitive, but if you're just not running a bash deck, suddenly you're ahead of fortitude, so on your opponent's first turn they can panic with anything they want. They can dirty low blow. They can do anything that requires lower fortitude because you played this 1 fortitude card. When your opponent has more than 12 cards, so they obviously have a mitt full, discarding 3 random is kind of watered down a little bit. It'd be way more potent if it was against a smaller hand size, obviously. Mm-hmm. But that's just the card design. It kind of counters underrated Superstar, right? Whereas if your Superstar value is under 3, you can draw 3 additional cards, right? So I'm on the fence about it. It goes in some decks. It doesn't go in others. I'd obviously put it in a bash deck because it gets you that 4th fortitude easily if you can do that. But
I really like it if you're going first. Mm-hmm. Because then you're getting 3 random cards, you could get a key reversal, and it just helps your opening turn that much more.
Yeah, so.
And it works well with
right?
Parts Unknown. It's a virtual venue where your hand size is +3, your opponent's is +2. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of
play them into it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, I have just 2 kind of special ones to bring up, and it's Irish Whip and Throw into the Corner Turnbuckle throwbacks. So these take place of the setup actions that go into Arsenal. You could play them as an action, or you could put them into play. And what it is, it's an activated card effect, discard 2 cards, and your next maneuver is considered to be played after one of those. So it's a nice flavor. You should be able to Irish Whip or throw whenever you want to.
And it doesn't take up deck space. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty cool. So that's pretty well the rundown of the mid-match on the Getting Into Virtual segment.
Getting into virtual!
And I guess we'll throw it over to you in your interview with the 2018 GenCon World Champion, Scott Hulett, rated SRH on Team Canada Online.
Hey everyone, I have the pleasure of being here next to me on camera with the GenCon 2018 Raw Deal World Champion, Scott Hulett. Scott, how are you doing after the the big busy weekend of Raw Deal?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing even better being here on the Backlash podcast right now. Feels good to be here.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning, and then we'll get into the GenCon talk. But what got you into Raw Deal in the first place?
Well, I was actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty competitively at the time, and I kind of got bored with it. And I was looking to sell out of the game, and I was kind of browsing around the shop to see what we had as options. And the store owner actually suggested, she knew I liked wrestling, and she threw me a starter deck of the game for Raw Deal. We were probably about 2 weeks away from Survivor Series 3 being released, and I cashed in all of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff for a bunch of store credit, and I bought all the starter decks that she had and a couple of packs. And I mean, that's how it actually got started. They told me that Thursdays were the game day for it. And I mean, I have to give a shout out to Great White Dope, who's on TCO. That's Corey Ludson. Him and Brandon Granger were very instrumental in me getting into the game and teaching me. So, I mean, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for those 2 guys.
And that was a really good set to get into just prior to Survivor Series 3 because it had everything you pretty much needed to get into the game.
Yeah, it was very nice to actually get in with Survivor Series 3 because I was able to get all the Triple H cards that I wanted. Mm-hmm. That was my first deck. I played Triple H for like 10 years in Raw Deal, and I got very comfortable running him. He was very simple, very easy to learn. I mean, you didn't have to have an ability to remember, so it was easy. And
even the remake the game has a really good new player-friendly ability.
Yeah, and I got to see that up close and personal at GenCon.
So where are you based from? Like, where have you been playing, all these years?
I'm in Lafayette, Indiana, which is 45 minutes away from Indianapolis, and we meet at a game shop in town called Castle Comics and Cards.
And that's still an active community?
Yep, we have on average probably 7 to 8 people that still play Raw Deal here.
Holy cow. Yeah, it's very similar to our area here. And when we went to Illinois for FunkCon, they have a large group of wills still playing. It's nice to see all over the map that there's still chunks of people playing the game.
Very much so.
Literally, and the game and the game of Raw Deal.
Yeah.
So from at Survivor Series 3, you're probably a little behind in terms of knowledge and just competitiveness with your group. What was kind of that aha moment where it clicked for you, and then you won that like first local event, or you did performed really well in that event?
Our first term was probably 3 weeks after I started getting in the game, because a bunch of people came with me. We had probably 15 people that played Raw Deal locally. And I won my very first ever tournament with the People's Champion.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat, this was so long ago, it was Jerry Lawler, I believe I beat in the finals. It was all about the game Jerry Lawler that would turn one go for the falling fist drop, and I mean, thankfully I had Brahma Bull out to protect me, so that made it a little easier.
And from there, it's just been pretty much working towards getting that big world championship win.
11 years, yeah. It's a lot to learn. I mean, this isn't a game that you pick up and you're going to probably immediately be an elite player. Not saying that the skilled players from like Magic or Dragon Ball Z or what have you, that they couldn't pick it up and be great, but there's a lot of text and there's a lot of timing and triggers that you've really got to be patient with in this game, and you're going to take some lumps along the way, and that's part of the experience of learning how to lose and win at the same time.
Mm. Especially with the introduction of virtual, there's a lot more timing. There's a lot more, even like at the end of the pre-match phase before your first draw segment, there's different variations on that. So that's what is leaving a lot of newer players kind of hesitant trying to get into virtual. Is, aside from the backstage area being the size it is, it's the new wording, the new timing breakdowns that it can just get frustrating. I mean, especially even newer players, not newer players, for more veteran players, like our area especially, it's like, okay, what comes first? Before the first draw segment of the game, or at the end of the pre-match phase, beforehand, or not beforehand, but like the different phrasings on things.
Yeah, there's quite a bit to take in. I mean, if I was going to give advice to somebody getting into the game, I would say start with your favorite, because if you're gonna play this game, you want to play with somebody that you like to start with. That way, it's easier to go through those growing pains with the deck, and hopefully your superstar is somebody that's super simple, not somebody that's got like 1,001 triggers happening at the end of the pre-match phase. But I mean, and that was one of the big things. As I got older in the game and more experienced, I realized that my favorites may not always be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to learn to adapt to, if you want to play competitively, to adapt to the decks that are kind of top tier or have the best shot of winning.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of top tier, I want to talk about your GenCon experience. Were you there for the whole weekend?
Yep, we arrived there Thursday morning. My group, the four of us, my buddy Zach, Steven, and Colin, we all arrived, and we showed up Thursday. I kind of was taking a bit of a break from like judging this year. I had talked to Mitch earlier in the year about it, and I just had some personal things come up that I needed to take a break from. And I was still going to play in Worlds. That wasn't ever a doubt, but I kind of went and enjoyed the convention center. I spent maybe way too much money in the dealer's room. Those Funko Pops will get you.
Oh, yeah. And then did you play in any of the side events?
Yeah, I played in the All Access one where we had that really freaky tie between the three of us. I beat John. John beat Mackie. Mackie beat me in the end. I was playing Nikki Bella in that one. It was a super fun deck. It was pretty much just sponge and just throw annoying, obnoxious core multis the entire game.
And for the World event, for people who don't know, it's virtual all access, virtual Revolution, virtual classic. Superstars you were running were Matt Striker for Revolution, Mankind for virtual classic, and the New Age Outlaws in all access. You want to quickly go over kind of the theme behind each of the 3 decks?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'll start with Mankind. So if you notice on Screeching Car Crash, it says your first 60 or less maneuver, your opponent can't respond to.
Mm-hmm.
It does not say printed. So I was using Face Stretch to get on the board. And since it's a successfully played maneuver, I was playing perfectly executed Taupe immediately afterwards. He got 16 Fortitude every game I played. It's very hard in Classic to stop that turn 1 unless you're running no cell or if you have some specific. Plan B, if for some reason I ran into events or if I was a bit rivaled and I couldn't get the belt, I used Tech in a Bottle to go get Precision Kick, and I would still try the same strategy and go for the Taupe. Mankind would get to 16, and then pretty much after that, I'm throwing Haymakers, and I'm trying to get up to 20 Fortitude, and then it's going to be trademark finishers. Against John, I'll get into that one later. It didn't go as smoothly, but all access, it was New Age Outlaws, as you said. That again, I use Tech in a Bottle. It's probably the best non-specific search card in the game. It just grabs so many useful tools in the beginning. I tuck Precision Clothesline under there. I could have probably went with Washington, D.C. to go get full Nelson Slam, but I was so afraid of Old Switcheroo and Natural Disasters that I didn't really have enough space in the pre-match to tech in a Find Out How to Fight from Finley. But I thought, you know what? If I overturn the 5, I ran the means that bounce back to my hand. So that would just fuel my mid-game strategy. So I ran Forever No Mercy in the Outlaws, and pretty much you have 8 permanent Fortitude with Best Surprises Sneak Up from behind. You don't even really have to throw successful maneuvers because of No Mercy. You can just attempt a maneuver, and if they reverse it, they peel 4.
Okay.
I felt really bad because I played my buddy Steven in the top cut, and he played Forever No Mercy as well, and I old switcherooed it. So he had to burn 8 to stop a meme.
So what does Forever No Mercy do?
Revolution Forever No Mercy, when it's in your ring area, if your opponent reverses a non-extreme mean from hand or backlash, they have to overturn 4 cards.
Okay.
So with the Outlaws, like, you're going to get to that mean Fortitude turn 1, and it's permanent. They can't take that away from you. So you just bridge right into the means, and eventually you're going to punch through. If they're really walling you, I would use my ability to force through another maneuver and bridge to trademark finishers. New Age Outlaws are really good. That ability is... I've always felt if you're going to win competitively, you have to have a way to get on the board. That's the most important thing. If you don't have a way to establish Fortitude, you're not really going to stand much of a chance competitively. I mean, it's a nightmare trying to prepare for John, Mitch, and Drew, and Jake every year. I'm home with, like, paper and pen. I'm like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. Mitch is too smart for this. It's very difficult to come up with 3 decks each year. Matt Striker, I'm of the mindset Revolution Phone in the Blanks is probably the most obnoxious card in Revolution. You do have so much draw power because a lot of cards are blank that are very playable, like Revo Kiss My Ass, Inertia, all the hybrid cores. So my strategy with Striker is I have the lowest superstar value in Revolution. I'm guaranteed to get climbing the ladder. I'm also guaranteed to not get run over by Sandman, which I thought that's the one reason why I didn't take Revolution DX again, is they can't stop momentum turn 1. Well, really, until they get to, like, enough to play Inertia or the other one. I forget the name. I think telegraphed it. So I was afraid if I would have got 1 Fortitude and all his means being minus like 14 Fortitude, it's 1 Shock the World, 1 massive mean, and then I'm going to be in some trouble. So Striker, would go second unless you did your Chance in the Limelight, which Mitch packed, so go figure. And so you go first. You want a mulligan for double your value, double your fun. That is the straw that stirs the deck. It's the most important card in the deck. So you would reverse your opponent's first move, whether it be an extreme or something you could tag with one of the hybrids. Your first play is double your value to double your fortitude to go into the means. My version of Striker skipped straight past the mid-match reversal. At no point was I ever afraid of that getting played because I wasn't going to score. If you had a good hand, I mean, depending on what you use to reverse that first core, if it was the 0 for 4 or 0 for 5, you could get the discount off of like the means, so you didn't really have to double on your turn. I could double on my opponent's turn. You get overexposure from your hand. I had 2 inertias in the deck. I had 12 extreme reversals in the deck. I wanted to make sure it was as balanced as possible. And I mean, Striker's really, really good, even after the nerfs. He can bypass the mid, which is something I think we should probably look into. But overall, Striker's just a really good deck, and I was actually surprised John showed up with him. I thought for sure John was going to show up with Mark Henry.
Yeah, he was the only other striker that was represented there.
Yeah, and I believe we both went undefeated with Striker in Swiss. I did lose to Steven with Jeff Hardy, but Jeff just got out of the gate so quick. There was nothing I could have done.
And then I heard there was a story, I don't know if you're involved in it, but it was a recursion of 45 cards. Can you elaborate that on a little bit?
So we're in game 2. I already lost game 1 to John in the finals. And I have no cards in my arsenal. Like, this is the Hail Mary. This is the try to get back into it. And I knew that John was face, so I spent most of the game trying to bait out a sloppy. And I kept throwing blindsided takedown from my ringside pile, the cheater one. So I kept playing him, and he was reversing them as I would hoped. And I finally saw the third sloppy fly out of his hand. I was like, okay. So it's the last turn. John probably thought he had it in the bag, and I thought he did too. There's like 15 times in this game I thought I lost. So I play the 3 faces of Foley, and John's looking through his hand. He puts his hand down. He looks through his Backlash deck, puts his hands over his face, and said, "It's good."
Oh, no.
Everybody at the table was pretty happy. Mackie was floored. He'd never thought that was going to happen. So I got 45 cards back, and I kept trying to whittle down the deck because in the top, a count out's just as good as a pinfall. You don't want to get cute in the top. So I got him down to 5 cards, and it was on his turn, and I told him, if I get you to a count out, I'm taking the count out. So I ended up reversing. He was running the game, which was a chain recovery deck. It was a very well put together deck, much like most of the things John brings. And thanks to Mankind's ability of being able to draw an additional card every turn, I was able to try to stay competitive with the amount of cards in my hand. So I threw the 3 faces. John says it's good. I get back 45 plus cards. Mackie his facial expression was amazing. That was probably the best. And I had to burn 6 because I had to end my turn after that. But basically, I played a precision haymaker. I forced him to draw out his deck. And then I called the count out because I wasn't about to mess around. I needed to get back into this game. So yeah, that was the epic story of 45 plus cards at the very end.
And that's really interesting where he wasn't packing the guest referee that ignores the drawing from Precision Haymaker. That was a kind of a card that was put out because of the issues that Haymaker has been bringing in the area. Did you see a lot of that card being played at GenCon at that high level of play?
I did see a couple guys have it. I'm pretty sure Mitch had it. I know John had it in All Access. A lot of people, for whatever reason, don't play it in Classic. I don't know if they feel the backlash is too tight with other cards, but that's a card. I mean, if you're not worried about your hand size, I mean, if you want to draw cards, then yeah, I guess it's okay. But I mean, you're rolling the dice a lot of times with Haymaker because I mean, you can get backslide off that card. You can get power slammed. Almost everybody in the game has a very painful specific hybrid for strikes. But I mean, it was in there to draw 5 and maybe ramp me up the fortitude ladder. The one thing that I wanted to ask Mitch about this, but I haven't. In our game, he actually reach exceeds my grasp, the haymaker back to my hand. So he actually drew 10 off of haymaker. And he had evening of the odds out. And I mean, I was glad to get evening of the odds away because that card's annoying.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it was Latino Cheat, so I'm sure Latino Cheat wanted to draw 10 cards because that might have been why. But I was running Forever No Mercy, so I was actually very happy that he did reach it because that was, to me, I viewed the draw 5 as like damage. I mean, that's 5 cards out of the deck.
Yeah,
I don't have to worry.
Well, it won you a game.
Yeah, yes, it did.
And then aside from winning, of course, how was your overall experience at the Worlds tournament? Playing kind of the highest level of raw deal play that is out there.
It's fantastic. It's kind of like Christmas for us because we all get to see each other. A lot of us don't get to see each other throughout the year. It's always good to see Mitch, John. Unfortunately, Drew couldn't make the trip, which sucked. I did get to see Jake, Softcore Legend. Always a pleasure to see him. It's really good just to get games in with these guys and play Super Show with them and just kind of sit and talk and catch up on life. It's a fantastic experience, and I really wish we could get more people to show up to GenCon and experience like the camaraderie and their overall like excitement that being at GenCon can bring.
And then being the champion, do you want to give the listeners any insight on an idea you have for making a card being this year's winner?
Well, yeah, I'll give you. I actually had 2 ideas, but one got shot down. It's no secret I'm a huge Brian Pillman fan. I actually tried to pitch to make Brian Pillman. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to make a superstar specific, so that went down the drain. Hopefully, at some point, we get Brian in the game. It would be awesome. The card that I'm making is actually a pre-match card. What I'm looking to do with it is I feel that recovery decks are kind of out of control right now because Hell in a Cell kind of took a massive hit. You've got to pretty much be Paul Heyman, and even then, it's not safe to get it out there. What I have and nothing is set in stone. So what I'm saying right now is very much subject to change. They could change this right now. It's called Chance Favors the Prepared Mind, which is my tagline on my post. But basically, when it's in your ring area, this works for both players. So this isn't just a one person deal. When it's in your ring area, when any player moves any number of cards from their ringside pile with a non-superstar specific card effect or the text of a card, that number is reduced by half, rounded down.
Okay.
So it's kind of like it doesn't touch any specific, so you're free to get whatever you want off of a specific. But like Survivor Series tech or Mouse Writing Check, Spirited Turns, Candace, etc., those kind of take a much needed hit that I feel because there's a lot of very strong unchecked recovery going on due to Hell in a Cell being kind of unplayable.
And the old school cage match, it has so many limitations on what it can and can't touch. It's almost favors you to pack it just to stop like steel chain shots and thrust knee lifts where your card in mind with it being rounded down, it's still going to prevent those self-returning cards.
Yeah, and I think I want to add the line that you can't pack that with old school cage match because it's kind of like overkill. So it would probably be a better idea to have them choose which one that they want.
Well, it's a really neat idea because, it's like there's a lot of lacking in the pre-match of like disruption where everyone's pretty much going to be able to do what they want. And then your idea is kind of pumps the brakes on it. It's like, no, here comes the cavalry. He's only going to get half back. And even ready to fight, some decks are running 3 of them, and now they're only going to shuffle in 2 and pick up none if you're going to have the text that you're wishing for.
John actually hit me with ready to fight 6 times in the second match. That was really bad. That was 30 cards he got back for free.
So you guys kind of traded off the recovery there.
Yeah, I saved all mine for one big shebang, and John kind of just evenly spread his out throughout the game.
All right, well, congratulations, Scott, on winning it. But before we say goodbye, you have a podcast yourself, so you want to take a moment and tell everyone about it.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have a weekly podcast called the Four Corners Podcast. It's the Roman numeral for 4IB. And like I said, once a week, we go to a lot of independent shows and cover stuff for them. We've got one later in October, Heroes and Legends Wrestling 11. Ron Simmons is going to be there, Ultimo Dragon. Kevin Nash was going to be there, but unfortunately he had to withdraw. Mark Henry. It's run by Jason Maples, and who's just a tremendous guy. And we were very honored and humbled that he did extend an invite to us.
And any parting thoughts before we go our separate ways?
I would just say, like, if you're wanting to go to GenCon, I would definitely suggest it. Depending on what you want to do. If you want to go for competitive play, there's a lot of guys on Discord or Team Canada Online.net that you can talk to. Like, feel free to message myself, Mitch, John, Drew. These guys will give you sound advice. We know what we're doing. We've been doing it for a while, and we want to help the game grow. And the game doesn't grow unless we help others. And I think that's the most important thing, is getting people into this game that. And I forgot Brian Big Pimpin on Team Canada. That guy is a wealth of knowledge. Very, very smart individual. And there's a lot of them, but take time. Like, if you got a guy in your play group that's struggling, set him aside and kind of help him out. I mean, the game doesn't grow unless the people in it are nice enough to help grow the game.
And it's one thing I'm finding with the Discord group. I mean, you just joined it recently, where it's great conversation and no one's putting down each other for good or bad ideas.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because you really never know what idea is going to stick and could work.
Mm-hmm. And you proved that this past weekend, or as a recording this past weekend. All right, well, yeah. Thanks a lot, Scott, and hopefully you can take it again next year and get Brian Pillman in the game.
I'm going to try. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
All right, thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks for that interview with Scott, Eric. That was a good one.
Thanks, Scott.
The other Scott. There's like 4 active Scotts that are in Team Canada Online and Discord. It's like, I've gotten messages on Discord like, hey, I'm playing in the Lackey tournament. I was like, oh, that's the other Scott. The other Scott. It's like, it's confusing. But
I just noticed I can see us in the patio window.
Oh, yeah.
You brought that up earlier.
Now you can see us.
You keep talking. I just want to stare.
Yeah. So we have Fan Expo coming up in a few weeks. It's September long weekend. Stop looking at yourself. Yes. I don't know. You're all into Fan Expo.
I love Fan Expo. That's our vacation for the year. My girlfriend and I, plus another couple friend of ours, we get a hotel connected to the convention center. It's like a giant Comic-Con, except it's video games.
It's our San Diego Comic-Con. It's the Canadian version, basically. I think it's the biggest.
Largest in Canada, one of the largest in North America, aside I think from New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con. However, this year WWE is in town the week before, so the Monday, Tuesdays Raw and SmackDown. So they're bringing WWE to Fan Expo on the Thursday, August 30th. Triple H, AJ Styles, The Miz, Charlotte, they're all doing appearances, autographs, taking photos. There's going to be a panel. A big Q&A in one of the auditoriums there. I'm looking forward to it. I'm especially happy that I've met Miz and AJ Styles already, so I don't have to wait in line for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're trying to get a media pass to.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. Because my side project, Ring Post Gaming, I interview wrestlers about gaming, and I've been interviewing some professional esports gamers about wrestling who are big fans. So I'm hoping to get in there and talk to some WWE performers about kind of their video game habits, which Miz and AJ Styles are, because they appear on Up, Up, Down, Down frequently.
Yeah, and then today, which is Thursday, so last week's Throwback Thursday, we posted about meeting wrestlers and your favorite stories from meeting wrestlers. So if you haven't commented on there, head on back to last week's Throwback Thursday and share your favorite story of meeting a wrestler. Just gets content flowing on our page, and we appreciate it on the Backlash Podcast Facebook page.
What's your favorite story?
I don't know. I flash back to like when me and you went to WWE Niagara Falls to meet Chris Benoit, Val Venus, and Trish Stratus, and they like threw a Triple H shirt in the crowd, and I got it. And it was a grand opening of WWE Niagara Falls. We left here really early in the morning, 4 or 5 a.m. to get there. We were like 10th in line. Got there at 7 a.m. and it didn't start till 11 or noon or something foolish. But we were there really early. So that was a pretty fun time. Your dad drove us down because we weren't old enough to drive yet. Yeah, that was a good time.
I got Trish Stratus to sign Stratisfied. It's a must-pack card.
Yeah.
I have a photo, one of the like I guess promotional generic 8x10s signed by Chris Benoit. I still have. I have no idea where my Val Venus signature is.
All of mine went into WrestleMania X8, like promotional book that I got at like a convenience store promoting WrestleMania the previous year. So basically every wrestler that I met since that point, I've gotten them all to sign in that book on their page. So it's kind of cool. There aren't many people left that are in that book. There's like Undertaker, Triple H. John Cena was a rookie. John Cena and Batista were the rookies, and Brock Lesnar was the rookie.
Randy Orton.
Yeah, Randy Orton.
It was like the OVW guys on the back. It's like, who are these?
So that'd be cool to get a John Cena signature in there on a little picture.
I'm trying to think of a story. Like, we met Lita. I was like 4th in line, got dropped off at 4 in the morning at like a part source center. Got her to sign Lita to the Extreme.
The Miz one was cool.
The Miz, that was a lot of fun. It was like in Toronto was hosting Survivor Series and the NXT Takeover beforehand. So there was these tickets. You buy tickets for like an NXT after party with food and drink included. So I got a chance to meet and to actually chat with Sami Zayn, Christian, and the Miz. That's how I have my Miz virtual backstage signature. And Christian went and saw, I think, Trolls with his daughter. Prior to that, I asked him, I'm like, I don't have any wrestling questions, so I see any good movies lately.
Trolls is a very good movie. I've watched it many a times. I know all the songs. But yeah, really good movie. Really good tangent. And that should probably wrap it up for this week.
No! We went to WrestleMania Fan Access.
What?
When we went to WrestleMania Fan Access.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. But we went and got in line for Crash Holly only because we heard RVD was after him. So we immediately got back in line and we're like, oh yeah, like Crash is going to be gone. We'll get RVD's autograph. And we got RVD's autograph.
So yeah, how that went, we went through line first to get Crash Holly, lined up again, and people were like, why didn't you just meet him? We're like, RVD's next. So like the rumbling started, right? Everyone's like, RVD's next. So eventually people started lining up behind us, and then the line for Crash kind of dwindled down, and he's like, hey guys, what are you all doing? Don't you want to come meet me? And we're like, no, we're waiting for RVD. And he's like, oh. We're like, we already met you, man. Yeah, that was a good time for sure. Poor Crash.
Oh, we were at the ribbon cutting ceremonies for Fan Access as well.
And that was when we learned Edge is very tall.
He's very tall. And he was there with Lita, and that was coincidental, I think. That was before any of that broke out. Because that was the Rock Hogan WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And we were right at the barricade, and Edge is in front of us, and they did the ribbon cutting. And I was like, oh. So I grabbed the ribbon that he had cut. Yeah. And I still have that ribbon.
Yeah.
I'd love to get him to sign it and be like, remember that time you were there? And he probably doesn't.
No. My favorite story from that Fan Access was when we were buying t-shirts.
Oh, God.
and Eric was looking at the t-shirt selection. We were both huge Hurricane fans, so I got my Hurricane shirt, and he's looking, humming and hawing, and then the fire alarm goes off, and everyone has to exit the building, and he's still there humming and hawing, and security comes along and is like, sir, you're going to have to leave the building. He's like, but I need to get a t-shirt. And they're like, all right, you have like 30 seconds to sign on a t-shirt. As I'm counting down, and eventually get to 0, and the security escorts us out of the building, and you couldn't decide on a t-shirt.
I still don't have that t-shirt. And then, like, in the last year, you're like, hey, anybody want my extra wrestling shirts? I don't wear them anymore. I was like, oh, take it. So he took the Hurricane shirt that you had for Fan Access. I want to end this show, Scott. I gotta go.
Good night, everybody.
I'm back where I belong. Yeah, I never felt so strong. I'm back, I'm feeling like there's nothing I can't try. And if you with me, put your hands high. Put your hands high. You haven't lost a life before. This one's for you. Put your hands high. Your dreams are filled. You're rocking with the best. I'll be on soon.
Thank you all.
I'm coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming home. Coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming home.
Had the song from Beauty and the Beast in my head today.
Oh yeah, I've had Moana.
So they keep telling you you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, when we have bath time, I put on the Disney playlist. You're Welcome is the first song that always comes on, so I know every word. That's making it into the podcast. Yeah.